There's two things in life that I pretty much never do anymore. One is try to prove myself to people. And the second one is I no longer hide anything from people. That was the thing that caused me to live this accidental fraud life, was me not being able to be honest about who I really was as a person. And so when I stopped hiding, that was the pathway to freedom.
Welcome to the Lasting Impact Podcast. I'm your host, Mark Marquin. Join me as I sit down with remarkable individuals making a meaningful difference in business and ministry. We'll explore their stories, challenges, and successes, all with the goal of encouraging you to go out and make a lasting impact. If you love what you hear, don't forget to rate, review, and share. Welcome to Lasting Impact. Mark Delaney.
Hello.
Welcome to the podcast, brother.
I'm excited about this.
Man, so honored that you're here. So honored and delighted that you're here. You're a powerful man, such a great friend. And man, for those listeners who don't know you, Mark Delaney here in Tulsa, Oklahoma, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm exactly like everyone listening to this. I'm no different than anyone who's listening to this podcast. I'm right now, what my life looks like is I hope to play pickleball twice a week. If the weather's nice, some disc golf with friends. I love to see my grandchildren, love to hang out with my wife, and our kids are grown. And a big pursuit of our life is helping people simply find freedom and purpose, because we feel like there's only three things in life that a human being must have, and that's freedom, purpose, and love. Everything else is extracurricular.
Yeah.
But if you have those things, you have everything. So that's our mission in life, is to help people simply know their purpose and be able to live their life boldly, to be able to experience the wondrous things like freedom and love.
Yes. So children, how many kids? They're grown, they're adults. So
Yes.
Let's 2 boys, 1 girl. What's the layout here?
The oldest son is about to turn 30.
Wow.
Our daughter about to turn 28, and our youngest son, 26, about to turn. So
Grandkids?
2 of them, the 2 sons' wives just had babies 15 months ago.
Wow.
1 day apart.
No way.
And so it's exciting to watch them grow up together. And it's as fun as people say.
Yeah. I think one of the things that those of us who know you is easy to turn to you just really on a practical sense is, I have young kids, the men in my age bracket, young kids. We look to men like you, and your kids are adults. They're serving God.
Yeah.
They're making an impact. They're making a difference. Now they're bringing children into the world. And that's not guaranteed. That's not necessarily because, hey, I went to church and we did our best and it's going to end up this way. That's not necessarily the promise. That's not necessarily the guaranteed stamp. So when you see someone in your season living in this, there's no way anything's perfect, but seeing this fulfillment of like, man, these guys are running and gunning on their own and seeking God on their own and, living their call.
Yeah.
It's powerful, man. I think that's one of the main reasons people seek you out.
My wife and I had a huge advantage. I think everyone's lives are messy.
Yeah.
It's the human condition. Nobody is all buttoned up and perfected and all that. And I'll openly share any messes of my life at any time. But we did have a huge advantage. When we raised our kids, we were both teaching in a school. We both taught in private schools for a long, long time. And so when you're raising kids that are, let's say they're 2, 4, and 6, 3, 5, and 7, and at the same time, we're in classrooms literally every day with around 100 kids, 5 or 6 classes a day. And you're watching, 100 kids daily that are ahead of where your kids are. There was an epiphany we had that was like, wow, kids can become all kinds of things.
Yeah.
And it helped me to look at my kids in a broader perspective, because it's easy as a parent to get so tunnel visioned on our own kid that we don't really understand them.
Yeah.
And so we were able to gain this simple perspective about our kids. On one hand, it was like, our kids are so awesome.
Yeah.
On the other hand, our kids are capable of anything. not just for good, but for bad. And so that was a huge advantage we had teaching
Yeah.
kids all the time. It helped to train us on how to lead our own kids.
So you're a teacher, educator. How long were you doing that?
I was teaching probably almost 20 years total.
Wow. That's a full career, man. That's a long journey. We can't talk about the full 20 years on this podcast, but
Yeah.
can you give me some highlights of like your teaching career as an educator, of what that journey was like, what it meant to you, and I want to hear what that meant to you. What was that like? And let's crawl it, let's lead that into the call to transition out as well.
Before I was a teacher, actually I was in Indiana and I was pastoring a small church and teaching at a school. I felt like as a leader, I was failing. I wanted to be a leader. I had a heart for what I was doing. I loved pastoring. I loved teaching. I loved people, but I just felt like, man, as a leader, I don't think I'm accomplishing what my heart wants to accomplish. I felt like it was daily failure. And I had a chance to move to Oklahoma, my wife and I, with our little three young kids, to come teach at a great school, at a great ministry. And I was like, you know what? I'm tired of failing. I can at least go somewhere where success is happening and I can watch it. But when I made that move, on one hand, I kind of left the dark cloud of failing every day as a leader. But I also felt like I had left the calling of my life. When I left that church, even though I was coming to Oklahoma to teach people, I was teaching 5th and 6th graders the Bible at the time. Even though I was doing that 5 hours a day, 5 days a week, I felt like when I left that church in Indiana, I had left my calling as a man.
Oh, wow.
I had gone from being a player in the game to a player on the sidelines watching. And I wrestled with that for a season. And I wrestled until I found a way of carving purpose into the work I was doing. I remember I used to umpire baseball to pay for my kids' education. And I was umpiring a game at an inner city school. And I was watching kids that they clearly didn't have some of the advantages that the kids at the school I taught at had. I looked at their building and it was broken down and windows were out and they had window air conditioners. And the coach told me that, for our baseball games, we have to announce every morning, is there anybody who can come play baseball this afternoon? And kids would just decide if they wanted to play in the game and they'd throw a uniform on them.
Wow.
And there were kids that didn't know how to hold the bat right. There were kids coming out to bat with cleats, but no socks. And some came with socks, but no shoes, or just with shoes, no cleats. And I was like, I should be here where I can make a difference.
Yeah.
I felt like where I was teaching, great kids, great families. And I'm like, everyone here has a mom and a dad, and they all had breakfast, lunch, and dinner yesterday, and they're going to have it today. And like, can I really help these people? And I struggled for a couple of years with that until I realized this one thing that so moved me. And it was the simple understanding, and it's a biblical principle, that we are blessed in order to be a blessing. And the rest of my years at that school, which is 14 in total, I always taught from that perspective, that we are blessed to be a blessing. And I felt like if I could help those students understand that, they would grow up and change the world.
Wow.
And so that's how I carved purpose into that. So I taught for 14 years and then came to another transition time in life that we can get into if you want.
Sure. I want to talk about the umpiring.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you brought that up. It just reminds me of my brother. I just mentioned we're in Tulsa, Oklahoma, but my brother was in town from Kansas City, and his son was playing in a tournament.
Yeah.
And he had teenage boy, at the time. So anyway, I show up to the tournament to watch my nephew.
Yeah.
And meet up with my brother and watch my nephew play. And my brother had just told me about an umpire having to kick a coach out.
Yeah.
And, he was just telling me like this parent or this coach, I'm sure it was a parent and a coach, I'm sure the coach was the dad of some sort anyway, that it was just crazy, out of control, whatever the stuff you're going to see on reels or clips, or maybe you've been a part of.
Yeah.
And he tells me about this umpire who kept his cool, and he just couldn't believe it, how it went down. Now, my brother's a guy who's at a ballpark, or at the time at a ballpark every weekend in some tournament, 3 kids, super active. He loves being at a ballpark all weekend long. He loves it. So he's seen it all. And he tells me about this umpire who kept it together and just like still kicked this person out. And it was like the smoothest, calmest thing he'd ever seen. And I look over and it was you. And I'm like, man, that's my boy. That's my man, Mark Delaney.
I remember.
And I just couldn't wait to talk to you about it. So listen, I say all that to say in education, you've seen it all. And, I'm sure when you're teaching at a private school, Christian school, you're still going to see some stuff.
Oh yeah.
Umpiring is no holds barred. You're going to see anything and everything. I don't care if you're coming from a Christian school or, the school the situation you just, we just scraped up a team, but you are seeing people at their worst a lot of times. That is preaching material for you, I would imagine. That is your coaching material right there, 101 of seeing the worst in someone. Can you talk to us a little about your umpiring years or lessons you've learned from there, or what you've taken away from that journey?
I tell you, humans are humans.
Yeah.
I taught 14-year-olds for a long time at school. And the reason I got to where I could really communicate with people in baseball games was because I see everyone as a 14-year-old. Including myself.
Yeah.
Like I would teach Bible class to 14-year-olds and I'm like, am I teaching them or myself?
Mm.
And where are my friends? Because they need to be part of this conversation too. Oh. Like when I started umpiring, I loved baseball. I needed to make money. I'm like, this is perfect. I love baseball. I need to make cash. This is perfect. Until they handed me a rule book. And I was like, wait, all these things could happen in a game? And I would drive to the games like with my just clenching the steering wheel, thinking of all the things that could go wrong, and like thinking of, okay, what are all the balk rules? Like if they balked, when do I say balk? Do I put my hands up? Like I was just like,
wow.
And I was literally on pins and needles during the whole game. I was so afraid of messing up. Which, by the way, when you're afraid of messing up, it perfectly postures you to mess up.
Oh, wow.
And so I recorded a podcast about this. It's one of my favorite stories of talking about how umpiring helped raise me as a man, because you can't live life on pins and needles around people. You can't live your life like, I hope I don't mess up with my wife. I hope I don't make a wrong decision with my kids. I hope I don't mess up at work. You can't do it. Like life doesn't work. Yeah. And so I stayed in that grind of umpiring and worked through my failures. And I got to the place of realizing that the mess is part of the game. Like in this game, the pitcher is going to fail numerous times. Batters are going to fail numerous times. Fielders fail, coaches fail, and so do I. It's just part of it.
Yeah.
And I got to where, and this is probably one of the biggest changes that happened in me as a man. I lived my life so much trying to prove myself to people, and it prevented me from giving myself to people.
Wow.
So when I walked onto a field and I'm like, I can't mess up. Like it puts a chip on your shoulder.
Yes.
It makes you come across in ways that the coaches feel like you're kind of on edge. Like, don't mess with that umpire. Like he's really, there's just a comfort level I couldn't have. When I no longer had to prove myself to people, I could just give myself to people. And it took years to get there, but my last probably 3 years of umpiring, before every game, you have a plate meeting and both umpires stand with both coaches, and you just basically exchange pleasantries and you exchange lineups. And the last 3 years, I would tell the coaches, hey, my name is Mark. Here's my partner, Tommy. We're here to serve the game. We're going to try to stay out of the way. If we mess something up, will you come tell us?
Wow.
because I just wanted them to know that we're just there to serve. And I'm acknowledging before the game even starts that I might get in the way. And if I do, you can come tell me. And with that posture, I could just be comfortable in the game and comfortably serve it and not fear I'm going to make a wrong decision because I know I will.
Yeah.
And the more I'm not afraid of making wrong decisions, the more I tend to make good decisions. And when I do mess up, that's fine. Coach, come talk to me.
Wow. Man, this is so good for 100% for these listeners, because I'm sure that my audience is just like me. Man, I get gripped. I could easily get gripped, get paralyzed from, I mean, you name it. I mean, especially in, well, I should say especially in everything, in business. I mean, God's going to give you ideas. God is 100% going to bless you with speaking with you and telling you, I think you should do this, try that, dabble in. He's not going to force you.
Yeah.
But for someone like me, I can overthink. I can let something grip me. And, I just love what you said. And we need those who are listening, I know they're probably wanting to pull over and write that down. The prove yourself. Can you say that again?
Yeah. When I no longer had to prove myself to anybody, I could instead just give myself to people,
Wow.
which is what life is.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
the good news is for everybody, because I think a lot of people battle with this.
Yes.
Like we're not legitimate until people say we are.
Yeah.
It seems that way. And
That's
so we
right.
can feel like,
yeah,
well, until I accomplish a certain thing,
sure,
until I have a certain status, then I'm not legitimate. And it makes us keep trying to prove our legitimacy, which only pushes people away from us.
Yeah.
The coaches in the baseball games, all they wanted to hear from me is I was there to serve, and they were allowed to talk to me if I messed up.
Yeah. Man, I remember in a conversation, and we were talking a little bit about this before we started recording. And I'm sure you've talked to many people about this, but I remember one time we were on a phone call together, and you weren't asking me this. I think you were just asking in general. And it was so for me was, what are you trying to protect? And it might've been like social media posts or, even starting this we weren't talking about starting this podcast back then. It was something probably weighing on me that I called you for.
Yeah.
But that question posed to me was perfect. Like, what am I trying to protect? And going into this, what you just described on your drive, which is really surprising to me, driving to a game and thinking about, what a balk happens. When am I calling that? How am I calling that? What are my hands? What's this hand signal or whatever? How do I approach like that is a lot of people, including me, of even in this moment, speaking to you on a podcast or recording. It's going to be on YouTube. I'd be lying if I wasn't saying, is my shirt pulled out enough? How do I look? Am I this? I want to focus on the content. It's just racing. Without a doubt, it's racing. And when I'm like that, it is very easy to let that rob me from the real, like, man, how do I fully give myself to you in this moment and allow you to give yourself to me and our audience right now?
Yeah, you can't. I think so many people live their life in a cubicle because ultimately we're afraid of people and we think we have to prove ourselves to them. I'll be honest with you. So while I was umpiring, I was teaching at a great Christian school, great private school. And I taught there the same way I umpired. I wanted so much to be good at my job. I wanted to actually help people. I wanted to make a difference, but I was overwhelmed with the fear of messing up. My goal was to not mess up. And people thought, oh, you teach at that school, you teach Bible at that school, like you have it all together.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to.
Yes.
But I would say I was what I would call an accidental fraud. It's not that I wasn't what I projected to people. I lived the life. I wasn't like behind closed doors doing these behaviors that were like I wasn't living a
Right.
double life.
Yeah.
I just wasn't living a free life, Mark.
Yeah.
I wasn't living a double life. It just wasn't a free life. My life, I was living in an imaginary prison of how I saw myself.
Wow.
So I was teaching what I believed. I was teaching what I lived. I just couldn't explain the prison cell I was living in.
Wow.
And but there's freedom. So I just finished a book called One Step to Freedom. And it's a lot about this journey. There's two things in life that I pretty much never do anymore. One is try to prove myself to people.
Yeah.
And the second one is I no longer hide anything from people.
Man.
That was the thing that caused me to live this accidental fraud life, was me not being able to be honest about who I really was as a person. And so when I stopped hiding, that was the pathway to freedom.
Wow. Yeah. I want to let you keep going right there on. It's difficult because in one breath, really, like, who are you trying to impress? That makes sense. And I think there's a lot of freedom when you say it that way.
Mhm.
But there is some truth that, like, you do need to impress, like, in business, when a lot of people can get gripped, I can get paralyzed because I want to impress. My vocation is a mortgage lender. The realtor is my number one client. They're chased heavily. It's very competitive field. And man, you want to impress.
Yep.
You want to impress. And because if you disappoint, kiss the business goodbye.
Yep.
If you impress, there is an opportunity. So, but tell me the difference, Mark. Tell me the difference of you, or anybody. You're about to speak at a major event, and it's an important event.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be 500 men in the audience, and we're counting on you to deliver something special. We really are. So there is a little bit on the line, like, hey, we vetted you. You're a great speaker. You have great contact. We know you can deliver. We're expecting you to deliver. So there is like, man, we need you, what are you going to prove? How do you impress? But in that same, at the same time, you as the presenter, and you have something in you walking up about like, I have nothing to prove. It's all within the same, right? Can you separate that for us a little bit?
This is the battle of being a human on planet Earth, is these tensions.
The tensions. Yeah.
Life is not about me. I don't care what room I walk into. It's not about me. I'm not by nature a bold person. I'm in public. I can be shy. I'm not good with chit chat. I can feel awkward. But if I'm in front of people, only two things matter: their lives and content or information that really matters that can help them. I'm just a conduit.
Yeah.
But I do think it's a real tension in this world. Let me use this metaphor. When I taught in school, you have a classroom of 20 students. How many of them have the guts to raise their hand and ask a question? Probably 3 or 4 of them.
Yeah.
Why? Because those students know that there are other classmates in this room, and some of them will think I'm stupid for asking a question. Some of them will get annoyed that I'm taking up class time. And that's true. The world we live in, if you're the person that's bold, there are some people that'll be like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
But the reality is there's about 8 to 10 students that are like, oh, I am so glad that kid raised his hand and asked that question, because I didn't know the answer either. And I think the question becomes, in this world, we live in the tension of both. We live around people that want us to impress them, and we live among people that would love us to just serve them. And I think we have to decide as leaders who we're going to live for.
Wow.
And I tell you, My wife and I, maybe one of the most important things we've done from the youngest of stages, we've never lived to keep up with the Joneses. And so we've always kept life simple. We've never thought, well, people are buying that, we should buy that. People are going there, we should go there. And so we always live simple. So we don't allow our lives to be tied down to where I need to make a sale to anybody. If I need to impress you to get the sale, I'm not getting the sale. Because when I put my head on the pillow at the end of the night, I want to know that I lived the life as a free man.
Yeah.
And if I allow people to turn me into something I wasn't made to be, I'd rather not get the sale.
That's good. That's good. I want to kind of stick with impress and protect and prove and hide.
Yeah.
And I think that can lead us into your transition into Purpose Mastermind and the book you wrote and stuff. So 2 truths. We need to study to show ourselves approved. You know, as a mortgage lender, I need to go get licensed and be able to know how to generate business and serve people.
Yeah.
Those are things that are needed. I need to help provide for my family. And, you know, my boss has hired me here to be an originator, to bring in business to the company. And I need to honor that. And that comes with a lot of stuff that's going to be like, well, they were impressed. Hey, they're going to come to our lunch and learn, or they're about to come join us at such and such because they're happy with us and they're impressed with us. I think this is where the identity stuff starts coming in of, well, now why am I doing this? What am I trying to prove? And who am I trying to do this for? And you started addressing that with the serving.
Yeah.
And because that just frees me. And you just talked about freedom. Like when I think of the competitive market of that, I mean, every career is similar. You know, if you're a pastor, it's competitive out there. You're trying to build a church. You're trying to be a professor at a major university. You have competition. Someone wants your seat. I mean, it's just this. That's what we live in.
Yeah.
And so you have to, you know, there's purpose in becoming good at your craft. There's purpose in becoming good at originating business or delivering a message or serving people, helping people.
Yeah.
It is, who am I doing this for? The identity. And I think, you know, we had Brett on last week, Brett Wilson, who's a big fan of yours, dropped your name during the podcast. And he talked to just a little about, you know, he runs teams. He's a business owner and he serves, you know, he's built teams, he serves them, and he works really hard on, you had just said it, bringing the identity to your vocation over the vice versa.
Yeah.
I want you to talk on that and then go ahead and let that lead into you leaving education into your new journey that you're on.
Purpose and identity is so close. I think they're intertwined.
Mm-hmm.
You can't separate purpose and identity. I was talking to an educator recently. We were at a restaurant, and I said to him, if you look around this restaurant, everything is understood simply because you know what it's for. And I said, if you have a guy who unloads the truck every week here at the restaurant, he's going to look at a box. He's going to say, forks. I know what these are. I know what they're for. I know where they go. Next box, bowls. I know what they're for. I know where they go. I said, the problem is most people don't know what they're for. They don't know where to go. And I think the key to identity is by embarking on purpose, which makes it, I think that purpose becomes like the rebar to building an identity. In our world today, many people are trying to have identity without having purpose. And it doesn't make any sense because identity and purpose are so closely intertwined because our purpose is to go do something. As far as the transition in my life, honestly, there's a lot to be said about basically as a man, even when I was teaching at a school and, you know, doing things that I believed in, I was also descending as a man. I saw myself descending. I was living for comfort and security. The only thing I had going for me as a man is I had a job title that if I met someone and they said, what do you do? I could say the name of the school and what I taught, and hopefully you'll be impressed, because I thought the rest of who I was as a man was pretty much just flailing along.
Wow.
So that was my security blanket as a man. And I saw myself descending. I saw myself just slowly dying as a man. I wrestled with that for a couple of years. And I remember one day on a treadmill reading a book, and the first line of the book was, "Stop living as if the goal of life is to arrive at death safely." And I handed it to my wife, who was next to me, and I said, I'm leaving the school.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have a plan. I just knew I had to stop descending.
Wow.
I knew I had to let go of the security blanket. And so I just left the job. I told him, the next day I told the administrator, this is my last year at the school. And I embarked on a journey to I didn't know where. And there's a lot to be said about
Sure.
that. That journey took me to some lonely places where I found myself, where I found freedom. These things I talk about with, I don't have anything to prove anymore. I don't have anything to hide anymore ever again. It wasn't because I did something great and then I said, hey, I've got nothing to prove or nothing to hide because I did something great. All I did is quit a job and, metaphorically speaking, go into a wilderness by myself.
Yeah.
And in that wilderness, I had to wrestle with the real me. And from that wrestling and from that place of surrender is where I realized I don't have anything to prove and I don't have anything to hide. And so that brought about a big change in our life, and things grew from our life. We never had a master plan to do what we're doing. It's just grown out of our life. And so the work that we're doing with people,
I'm just ask you about the wrestling thing real quick. And I know you're starting to roll, but I want to chime in real quick.
Yeah.
For the listener,
Mm-hmm.
for the listener, when you said just now, I had to wrestle with the real me.
Yep.
Can you dive into that a little bit? If you're comfortable with it, like, what did you mean?
If the listener is comfortable with it. Because if someone's listening to this right now, I'm going to give you an assignment.
Yeah.
If you're listening to this,
love it.
I'm going to give you an assignment and you must do it. I'll give you 5 days to do it.
Tell me what you meant when you said I had to wrestle with, or whatever you said. I had to wrestle with the real me. What did that mean?
Here's the main thing I had to do. The main thing I had to do was finally tell someone who the real me was. My whole life, I remember being a pastor when I was young, and there was a guy on the back row who was an alcoholic who came sometimes. Everyone knew it. I never knew what to say to that guy. I never even tried alcohol. And I just assumed it was bad, like everyone thought, and he shouldn't do it and whatever, but I didn't know what to say to him. Now I look back and I realize that even though I was the pastor of the church, I was that man. But because my substance was food, I was allowed to be behind the pulpit instead of in the back row.
Wow.
We were the same. Human beings that you start out life and you want to make a difference with your life and do something good, and things just, you start to feel like a failure, and it causes you to turn to things to numb the pain of the misery of what your life has become. But I would never talk about it. I would just keep buying bigger clothes. And as long as the clothes are loose, I'm fine. Can't you tell? My shirt's not tight. I'm fine. And just keep working my way up the ladder at the stores buying the clothes. I could never talk about it. And I never did. I remember even teaching school. And if the class was talking or hanging out after class, and across the room, some kid says the word fat, I remember my blood pressure would rise. I would get hot and sweaty because I couldn't handle the word being said. Even if they were talking about a fat cat, I couldn't deal with that. My wife, one time, we've been married 31 years. One time she brought up the issue of food. because she was just watching me from pretty much day one, just be this person that's just growing and eating and growing and eating, growing and eating. She just watched it. One time she brought something up, and I don't remember what I said, but I said something to let her know she could never touch that topic. She never did again. So when I left work, when I left that job, all I knew was I wanted to make a difference. And I felt this tap on my shoulder for about 2 years. And it was like, I felt like God was telling me, deal with the weight. And I'm like, I don't have time for that. I'm trying to build something here. I don't have time to deal with the weight. I don't have time. I need my cookies. I'm stressed out here. I need these cookies. I don't have time to deal with this. And finally, I did what I would tell all the listeners to do. I finally called someone and talked about me. And I would say to any listener, if you want to take a pathway to freedom, if there's a story about you that you're afraid to tell, you have 5 days to tell it. And if you have no one to trust that you can tell that story to, call me.
Yeah.
I'll listen to it. I'll flush it as soon as I listen to it.
Yeah.
But I'll listen to it. But the wrestling began with that, when I simply called someone and talked about the real me.
And that's wonderful. And I know that this is for some listeners, this is the conversation, this one right here, that is going to be the start to their freedom.
Yeah.
And we're going to get your contact information at the end here, and we'll put it in show notes, of course. And you could be the one that they're going to do the conversation. So that's a great assignment. That's the great assignment, to tell us their assignment officially.
Yeah.
Officially.
Okay,
officially, what's the assignment?
This isn't deep psychology.
Sure.
Don't think about it too long. If there's a story you can think of right now that in your mind, you're like, oh, no one's ever going to know that. That is the story you must tell, because the story you're afraid to tell, you are declaring that it has a hold on you. You're declaring that it is going to have a major impact on your life. When you tell the story you're afraid to tell, you are declaring that it no longer has a hold on who you become in your future.
Yeah, that's a great assignment. And I think for some people, that's going to be the first step to some major freedom, some real freedom.
But let me make sure and say this. Talk to someone you trust.
Yeah.
I do not recommend family.
Yeah.
You might have a sibling that you could tell your story to. I've got some of those. But someone that you feel like lives a free life, because I promise you, anyone listening to this, I promise you, your story, whatever it is pretty much the same as any other human being you will talk to.
Yeah. I think that's great advice. Make sure you're saying it to the right person. And I think that they'll know who, it could not be it very easily could not be your spouse. Like this isn't,
not your spouse.
This is, a brother. It's just, you'll know, the person will know.
Someone who lives free.
Yeah.
And it's not about studying it. Like, this isn't going to start a month-long journey of talking about that. Like, I call myself the flusher. Like, if someone comes to me with their story, I'm like, well, okay, I'll give you 11 minutes and then I'm going to flush it immediately.
Why do you tell them that? Or whatever? Why do you put a time? Why do you say, okay, this is that, and then I'm going to flush it? Like, what do you mean by, like, why do you do it? What's behind that?
Oh my goodness. I think that many people live their whole life only focused on their problem, thinking their problem has to go away or their past has to be fixed before they can live their life.
Okay.
And I want to be a redemptive voice. Scripture calls us ministers of reconciliation. When I see any broken human who shows up and surrenders and says, can I tell you the junk of me? I think we get to be the prodigal son's father to broken people.
Wow.
And what did the prodigal son's father do? He threw a robe around his neck and put a ring on his finger. And I think I think regular people can give the best therapy on planet Earth.
Yeah.
By simply being a person that when someone comes to you and they show you the junk of their life, you can look at them and say, who are you made to be? We get so shocked at our problems.
Yeah.
We need someone we can look at broken people and say, who were you made to be? I want to help you be that person,
Yeah.
and point people to their purpose instead of helping them to point at their problem.
Man, that's really good. And I think that could help us dive right into, and I know I cut you off a little while back to chime in and ask that story. So if you need to pick up from where you were, great. But I do also want to dive into, tell us what you're doing now, and tell us about what you're doing right now, and how you're helping people, and we'll go from there.
We're driven by one thing. People must know their purpose. Like, it is so fundamental to life. You got to know your purpose. And so we developed a program called the Purpose-Mastermind. It's 8 meetings where people get together like Knights of the Round Table.
Nice.
And we talk about, how does someone know their purpose? And they're fun, engaging conversations. I think they're the conversations that all human beings need to have. Because let's face it, we can spend our whole life only thinking about our problems, only pursuing pleasure, and just never knowing our purpose. And so I believe we're writing a book this year called Purpose Therapy, because it excites me, because I think everyone can help people by talking to them about their purpose. Because I think when people have purpose, it gives you power to face your problems. Without purpose, there's no power to face your problems. There's no motivation for it. And so the program is 8 weeks. We do this on Zoom. If there's distance, we put together people in groups.
Okay.
Businesses bring us in to do it with our people, because it doesn't sound like counseling. It doesn't feel like counseling. It just sounds like great conversations among people who take life seriously. And so we do this with people. We also do this with people who are in difficult spots. Like, if people are struggling with marriage, we basically say, so what? Who are you made to be? Because oftentimes the troubles of life change us. And when we become a different person, it causes things in our life to not work. Oftentimes what happens in therapy is we try to fix the problems instead of helping people go back to being who they're made to be. So if someone's struggling with like addiction, alcoholism, depression, like, those are our people. It's like, oh, we can help you.
Yeah, so good.
But we're not going to talk about your problem.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about your purpose, and we're going to find a cape and put it around your neck. That's what we're going to do.
So a group of guys could get together
Totally.
and seek you out and say, hey, we want to go through your Purpose Mastermind program. A corporate office could get with you. A church could get with you. It sounds like there is a lot of options to be able to say, hey, I want to go through this Purpose Mastermind program that you have created.
And my wife does this with ladies.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So your wife is heavily involved. She's shoulder to shoulder with you. She was an educator too.
Yep.
And followed you right into this business.
Yep.
Tell me about the book. You wrote a book, man. It's out there right now. People can pull the trigger. We'll put this in the show notes.
Yeah. One Step to Freedom. It took me about 4 years to write it, because I had to live it while I wrote it. And I got to tell you, I didn't use any AI. Trust me. It was
that's good.
It was real story of my life and real stories of other people's lives in this book. And I wrote a lot of chips while I wrote this book, because so many times I go to write the next part and I would think, no one cares. No one's going to read this. This doesn't matter. Wow. So I go eat chips. Anyway, but no, One Step to Freedom, it's out. It can be found on Amazon and other places. And it's basically a simple guidebook that takes people on a journey of how to change. It's whether it's habits, a mindset you have, you feel like you're just stuck. It just takes you on a simple process of change, and it gives you action steps to take, and it has pictures in it, which is my favorite part.
That's great. I want to start winding down here, but quickly, what you just said, and we've kind of it's been a little bit of our theme. Mm-hmm. What kind of doubts were you having while you were writing? I mean, you just said it right there. No one's going to read this. Who's going to listen to this? Let me go eat some chips. Because listen, that is me all the time. And with that, it's so many people. More people are scrolling through social media like I should say this. I have a gut feeling if the rules were changed of social media, like you couldn't be on social media unless you posted, how many people would lose their account?
Yeah.
And at the,
Yeah.
a lot, right? I mean, and at the same time, how many want to post something? And I'm feeling led and called. Part of it is business practices, just a new wave of doing business and to keep up with the times. You're more in digital marketing now and being on more shelves a lot faster and there's a lot of healthiness to it. And obviously there's a lot of scariness to it, or can get twisted. Anyway, I'm saying all that is you describe and you write a book right there in those split seconds is everything that I'm going to be going through when this gets released.
Yeah.
Or leading up to this conversation, or talking with just the conversations with a friend. Like, I'm thinking about starting a podcast. I'm thinking about this.
Yep.
I should do some content creation. I should this. And then you start, or someone like me, and that was dumb. Everybody knows this.
Yes.
Someone already said that.
Yes.
It's just, yeah. I mean, and that's a lot of that. There is some truth to all of it.
Yes.
There's nothing that I'm about to put out on social media that hasn't been said before in a better way,
Yeah.
on a better looking person, smarter, blah, blah, blah. And the list goes on and on and on.
Yeah.
And so just ditch it.
Yeah.
And I know, I mean, gosh, it sounds like you were probably going through some of that while you were writing, but at the same time, you were called to write this book.
I just wanted to help people.
Yeah.
What I learned was so transformational to me.
Yeah.
And then these same stories and the same picture I draw, I watched to help other people. And by the way, the story really is the story of the gospel.
Mm-hmm.
It's just done in a way to help people understand it. I was like, this is helping people. I can't let this live in my heart.
Oh, that's good.
I didn't want to be an author. That wasn't the goal.
Yeah.
I don't care about being an author. It doesn't mean anything to me. Helping people means something to me.
Yeah.
And so, but if you want to do anything in life that's like purposeful and meaningful,
Yeah.
there's always obstacles.
Yeah.
If you want to eat potato chips, there's never an obstacle.
That's right.
No one ever eats chips and they think, is this going to work? You just eat the next one.
Yeah.
You never question if it's
Yeah.
going to work. If you're scrolling through social media, you never wonder, is this scrolling going to work for me? You just keep doing it. It's like eating cake or pie. You just keep doing it.
Yeah.
You don't question it. But if you're going to do something that you're made for, if you're going to do something to make a difference, it's amazing how the clouds of fear and insecurity they swirl.
Yeah.
I have found the only way, because I have to face it every day. I am not a strong man, but I'm going to tell you what I do. I show up consistently with strong men. That is the reason why I appear to be a strong man.
Yeah.
I appear to be doing strong things is because I always show up with strong men. I try nothing alone.
That's good.
And if I'm ever there were days writing that book where I sat at the keyboard, it's time for chapter 12. And I'm like, no one cares, but chips care. And so you go to the I remember one time I was eating chips and I called a friend of mine he's named Kellen. I said, Kellen, can I tell you what I'm doing right now? I went to write my book and I chickened out and I'm eating chips. And he said, well, Mark, that's dumb. At least go get cookies or something good. And so I had people like that in my life that I can admit anything to. And they'll just tell me to put my cape back on.
Yeah.
Pick up your sword. Go for it, Mark. Who cares?
Yeah, that's right.
And so I don't think anyone does anything in life without a community of people that believe in them.
Yeah.
And so I'm not a strong man.
Yeah.
I just hang out with strong men.
Well, I think it was Rory Vaden. He's an author, speaker, someone I follow very closely. I think he's awesome. And I don't want to quote him. I'm pretty sure I know it just came from him. He'll talk a lot on, everything that you're about to say, write, speak, whatever, like it's been done in a certain way. It probably has, but through it's ordained. It is there is someone, there are
Yeah.
people that are supposed to hear it from you.
Yeah.
And so I hope that, I mean, that helps me. And if there's anybody listening, I mean, those who are listening, I hope this helps some of you. There are some things that you're going to do in your life that even it's going to be mirrored. It's going to be similar. You're supposed to be a coach. Well, there's a lot of coaches. You're supposed to be, whatever it is, there's a lot of that, whatever you're trying to do or want to be, but God has put out there specifically people that are supposed to hear it specifically from you.
Yeah.
Okay, man, last thing. Podcast is lasting impact. I want to have guests. I'm having guests on that are making a lasting impact in people's lives and in their world. What does lasting impact mean to you?
I think that every human being that would dare to even want to live a life of impact, I applaud. Because it's easy to just go through the motions. You never fail.
Yeah.
If you go through the motions. To me, a lasting impact, I have detached myself from controlling the results of what that looks like. I just see myself as a farmer. And everywhere I go, there's dirt. And in one hand, I have a rake. On the other hand, I have a little satchel of seed. And so wherever dirt I'm standing in today, I'm going to rake the dirt and I'm going to put in some seed. And then I'm going to keep walking and do it again. And I trust God with the results.
Okay.
I don't think there's a lot of influencers and people that kind of talk as if they created themselves. And I don't think anyone does that. Lasting impact for me is simply living life for something that matters. I think it's a mountain you climb doing something that matters. It's not about getting to the top. I don't think anyone gets to the top. I'll never get to the top. This mountain I'm on, I believe in so much. I want people to know their purpose. I want people to believe they can leave a legacy. I think everyone can. And I'm going to climb that mountain proclaiming that. But in my mind, at the bottom of that mountain is this giant hole full of people that have given up on life. And they're just coping their life away, existing their life away until they die. But at the base of that mountain, there's a multitude of people that are wondering, should I just throw in the towel and crawl in this hole? Or should I climb this mountain and try to do something that matters? My goal is that when I die, I'll be at the bottom of that mountain, because when I died, I was climbing the mountain. And I pray that my life will simply inspire someone to climb the mountain instead of crawling into the hole. At the end of my life, my body will be laying at the bottom of that mountain, and it'll be testament that I died while I was on it, because I'm not getting off of it.
Come on.
I think every single one of us, every single one of us has the same glorious call upon our life, and that is to be bright lights in a dark world.
Amen.
And no matter the occupation, no matter what's happened in your life, no matter your status, we can all be that. And
right.
I think to be a bright light in a dark world, whatever shape, whatever kind of light, that's a life of legacy, and we can all do it.
I believe that, man. That is so awesome. Man, we're going to put your information in the show notes. I have a feeling there's going to be some people that are going to want to reach out to you and touch base with you. So we'll put your information in there. Mark, thank you so much for being on the podcast. I always love spending time with you, brother.
Thanks for having me.
If you liked today's conversation and want to hear more, hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to leave a review and share your thoughts. Your feedback keeps the impact going.